Hello and welcome back to the Satoshi Society YouTube channel. My name is AJ, one of the co-hosts here, and today we are going to take a look at the charts. Okay, of course, you're with me. We're going to take a look at the charts. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, the DXY, take a look at the traditional markets as well, and see what is happening and give you an update from yesterday. I've come live a little bit later on today because I just wanted to see some sort of movement. And this morning we weren't getting much movement, but we're starting to see that movement come in, and we're starting to see where the market could be going. We're starting to see an actual market direction. Okay, so we're going to look at that. We're going to look at some other things as well. So yeah, before we get into the video, please make sure you smash a like on this video, subscribe if you are new, and turn that bell notification on as well. But please make sure you smash a like on this video, and we will jump straight on into the chart. So starting off, as always, we're going to start off with Bitcoin. And what we can see here, okay, is that Bitcoin today is having a slight pullback, okay? And this is sort of what we, have been anticipating, okay? We've been having this push towards the upside here. Okay, we've had the big push towards the upside, then consolidation towards the upside, okay? That's consolidation towards the upside formed this ascending parallel channel, as we can very clearly see here, okay? And then that broke towards the downside, okay? And I told you this was a very, very bearish thing for it to break towards the downside, because it's giving us a target of around $21,700. And if it were to come down to $21,700, I would expect the price to come lower to $21,468, where this is a major level. 21,468 is the next sort of major level for us. We've used it as previous resistance here, coming all the way back here as well, just to show you quickly. We've used it as resistance there. So that's sort of the next major level. So this is where I would expect the price to go. However, we saw a push towards the upside, okay? We saw another push towards the upside. And, I'm sure this is because, Jerome Powell, which we'll get onto shortly, Jerome Powell was speaking at the Economic Club of Washington. So that is possibly why we saw this push towards the upside. Pretty high chance that was why we saw this push towards the upside. But, initially, the price is still respecting the levels, okay? The price is still respecting the levels that I have, and the price is still respecting this ascending parallel channel. What we can see is that the price pumped, okay, up to our resistance, okay, previous support, okay, as you can see right here, previous support multiple times, okay, we've got the breakdown, and then we've tested it as resistance, and as of right now, we are getting a rejection from it, okay, so it is still respecting these levels, okay. Now, this is not to say that we're going to continue this move towards the downside, okay. There's another thing that we have to factor in to sort of confirm to us that this continuation towards the downside is most likely going to happen, but there is still a possibility that we could retest this resistance once again and then push towards the upside, break that resistance and continue towards the upside. Yes, that is a possibility, but something else is going to help us with that analysis. And of course, if you've been following the channel for a while, you know that will be the DXY and also the ES as well. But mainly the DXY, because the DXY moves the ES, and then the ES moves Bitcoin. So the DXY pretty much moves Bitcoin as well. But looking at the DXY, taking a quick look at that, the DXY is actually finding some resistance, and I told you yesterday that this level here, on this white horizontal level at around 103.6 is sort of it's not a major level, but it's a level that if the price can get above it, we're most likely going to see the DXY continue towards the upside, which will mean that Bitcoin is going to continue towards the downside. However, if it gets a rejection from it, we could continue to see the price. Well, we could start to see the price of the DXY, come down, which obviously is going to be good for Bitcoin, and that will determine whether Bitcoin is going to break towards the upside of this resistance here. And if we do get a rejection, then Bitcoin would most likely break this resistance or come and test this resistance again, and then potentially break towards the upside there. But what we're looking at here is this horizontal white level. Okay, we use it as previous resistance right there. Okay, bit of support here after the break towards the upside, support here before the breakdown, and now you can see that we are testing that level. Okay, yesterday we did actually get a rejection from that level, However, today we're having another push towards the upside where today, we could retest this level once again. Now, if we get above this level on the DXY, okay, we get above 103.617. If we break above that, then Bitcoin is most likely going to continue towards the downside, okay? Because if we break above this on the DXY, then the DXY is going to come up to this major resistance level here. And then from there, we can reevaluate, is the price going to break that resistance, or is the price going to reject from that resistance? But initially, for me, I'm still sat more on the bearish scenario right now than the bullish scenario. Reason being, DXY is pushing towards the upside. Bitcoin is still respecting these levels, okay? And we can see that today we are getting a rejection from that level, okay? If we get a rejection from that level and then we see some bearish volume coming in, then we are most likely going to continue this push towards the downside, okay? Looking at the technicals for me are bearish. Moving on to the daily, okay, we can see higher highs on the price action charts coming into a weekly level, rejection from there, okay? But the main thing is higher highs on the price action charts, but RSI lower lows, okay? Bearish divergence. We're most likely going to see a pullback. Okay, yes, sometimes we could see an accumulation phase from these bearish divergences. The majority of the time, though, we do tend to see a pullback, and I would expect to see a pullback because of this 4-hour chart right here. Okay, we've broken towards the downside, not on a lot of volume at all. Okay, we would like to see a bigger spike in volume, but that's okay. We've had the retest, and now it looks as though we could be getting the rejection. If we're going to get the rejection, then for me, that's going to be the confirmation that we are going to see this pattern play out, and we are going to see that price pull back to, I would say, 21,468, where we can reevaluate from there. Is the price going to use that as support, or will the price break towards the downside? So for me, still sitting more on the bearish scenario than the bullish scenario right now. Of course, the DXY is going to be a big factor in this as well. If it breaks above this, continues towards the upside, we're most likely going to come down to 21,468 if that is the case on the DXY, okay? And from there, the DXY is going to come into resistance, and then Bitcoin is going to come into support, okay? So this is what we need to, reevaluate if the price does go to those levels, okay? If the DXY comes up to this resistance level and then Bitcoin comes down to this support, we reevaluate from there. Is the DXY going to break up, okay, and then Bitcoin going to break down, or is the DXY going to get a rejection and Bitcoin bounces from there? Okay, so that's what we need to determine, but we can only do that once the price gets there. Okay, but right now, I'm looking at the price still pulling back down to approximately $21,500. That's what I would expect. Looking at the ES as well, the ES hasn't really moved as much as Bitcoin has today. Of course, Bitcoin always moves a lot more than the traditional markets, but, we're not getting as big of a rejection today yet. Well, to be honest with you, I wouldn't say this is a rejection as of yet. I would like to get below this resistance here. But what we can see is that, yesterday, the ES made another the ES made another push towards the upside, testing this resistance. And today it looks as though, we could possibly get a rejection from this if that DXY continues to push towards the upside. Okay. We're also, as I said, on the likes of Bitcoin, we have support below us on the ES. Okay. We do have support below us. Okay. So, if the DXY is going to continue to push towards the upside and that comes into resistance, then the ES is most likely going to come and test support. Okay. And from there, we can reevaluate what is going on. But for me, right now, still sat more bearish than bullish. You can see that we are getting a textbook rejection from this resistance. Previous support as resistance, textbook rejection right here. And if this rejection continues and that DXY continues to push, then we're most likely going down to 21,468. I don't like to be bearish, but we have to be realists in this situation. And for me, the markets are just screaming bearish at me rather than bullish. Okay, yes, the bullish scenario could play out. Okay, yes, we could invalidate these lower targets down here, but we could only do so if we get above this resistance here, use it as support. Okay, and then from there we can start talking at the price, start talking about the price coming back up to 24,000, and if it can break 24,000, then we can start looking at the price coming to this next major level here, which I would say around $25,000. Okay, so the bullish scenario is not completely pushed off the table. Okay, it's still on the table. Okay, But right now, the bearish scenario is outweighing the bullish scenario quite heavily. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at for Bitcoin right now. And of course, yesterday Jerome Powell did speak, and it's not just the technicals screaming bearish to me, it's also the fundamentals as well. So just to go over briefly, the 2-year has exceeded the 10-year yield. Okay, we know this. If you've been following the channel, you will know this. Every time that happens, it leads into a recession. A recession is not good for the markets. We would most likely see a pullback within the within the markets if we were to go into a recession. Moving on quickly to the weekly chart, I showed you this in a bit of detail yesterday, but we are looking very, very similar to this psychology of a market cycle. Okay, formed a high, had a pullback, okay, had a push towards the upside, then a bigger pullback. Okay, if we come to the weekly chart once again, we can see this. Okay, we had high, we had a pullback, push towards the upside, and then a bigger pullback, and then we formed this anger phase. Okay, where within this anger phase, we form a low, we form a high, we form a lower low, and then a lower high, which we formed on Sunday night, Monday morning. Okay, we can see this right here. Okay, we come down, we have this last push towards the downside, we form a low, we form a high, we form a lower low, and we form a lower high right here. This is just looking textbook for me. Okay, this anger phase on the psychology of a market cycle is looking exactly like this phase right here. Okay, and where do we go from here? Okay, from here, okay, we don't have a capitulation event to say, yes, it's slow capitulation, I would say. We start slowly churn our way down, forming a new low of the bear market. Then we have a push towards the upside, accumulation phase, and then we go into that disbelief phase, which is actually the start of the bull market. And yes, we could be in that disbelief phase right now, and that's why it's called a disbelief phase, because not everyone believes it. But for me, we're just looking too similar to this psychology of a market cycle right now, with the push down, the push up, the big push down, then the anger phase right here, where we form a low, a high, a lower low, and then a higher low. Okay, so where I expect the price to go from here is that we slowly churn our way down. And, there are things that, if I can find it, hopefully I can find it in the video that I want to show you, and hopefully the sound works as well. But, I want to show you something where, Jerome Powell is saying that this is going to be, these Fed rate increases are going to happen over a long period of time. And if that is the case, then this would line up perfectly with this, this phase right here, where we're leaving that anger phase, going into that depression phase, because increasing by 25 basis points, okay, it's bearish. Okay, yes, it's better than increasing by 50 basis points. Okay, so in that sense, it's bullish because it's increasing by a decreased amount. But initially, if they're going to continue to do 25 basis point rate hikes, then the market is most likely going to slowly churn its way down. Okay, that's what I would expect to happen, and that could line up perfectly with this phase right here of the psychology of a market cycle. The price right here slowly churning its way down to a new low of the bear market. So that is a possibility. Okay, that's what I would expect to see. But the fundamentals are still screaming bearish at me as well. Okay, we have core inflation rate year over year. We have inflation rate year over year. Okay, inflation is coming down, yes. Okay, but ever since we hit the high, okay, the 40-year high of 9.7, was it? Let me know in the comments. I can't remember the exact number. Around 9.7, 9.5, 9.8 maybe. I can't really remember. But since we hit that 40-year high, what has happened is that inflation has just continued to come down. Okay, yes, that's good. Okay, that's nice. It continues to go down. But what happens if inflation starts to increase again? What happens? How is the market going to react to that? Is it going to have, is the market going to start panic selling? Okay, or is the market not going to be too worried about it? For me, what I think is that the market would start to panic sell. Okay, and that's what I would expect. Inflation, to be honest with you, is not going to continue to come down like we want it to. Okay, just going down each time the data comes out. I would not expect that. We're going to have some deviations, as in, inflation might go up a few times and then start to come back down again. Okay, so it's probably not going to come down perfectly. So we do just have to be very, very aware of that. And with the Fed still increasing rates, it's not good for the markets. Okay, yes, what we saw coming into that FOMC meeting is that we did see the price push towards the upside. Yes, we did see the price towards the upside. And I said this, I would expect the price to push towards the upside, but then I would expect to pull back after. And that's exactly what happened. And, I gave you sort of two scenarios. Either the price was going to, well, the scenario that that I thought was most likely going to play out was the one that played out. And that's, that the price was going to pump and then pump afterwards, after the FOMC meeting as well. But then the price was going to pull back. Okay, and that's what happened. Okay, the price pumped. Then afterwards, the price started to pull back. The other scenario that I gave you is that the price would just continue to push towards the upside. But I said the more likely scenario was that it's going to pump and then dump, and that is what we are seeing right now. And now that we're potentially getting this rejection here as well, we're most likely going to continue towards the downside if we get this confirmed rejection. Okay, but I want to show you this clip. Hopefully the sound works. Please let me know in the comments if the sound works as well. I want to share this with you because this is where, Jerome Powell is saying that they're going to continue to increase the rates. If they're going to do that, it's very hawkish. You're going to continue to see the markets pull back if they're increasing the rates. Increasing the rates is not a good thing for the markets. We don't want to see that. Yes, it's increasing by a decreased amount. In that sense, it's slightly bullish, but the bearishness just massively outweighs the bullishness. So for me, I do expect the price to continue to push towards the downside. And let's just listen to this quick. Let me know in the comments if the sound works. Okay, so he says that ongoing rate increases will be appropriate. Okay, so he's hinting that that is most likely what he is going to do, and if that is the case, then the market is going to continue to push towards the downside. So just to remind you about what happened, 30 seconds ago, we did have, let's see, last 6 days, non-farm payrolls unemployment rate came out a lot better than expected. Okay, that isn't too good for the markets. We want to see, this number coming in, around forecasted, which is 185k or lower than that. But it's coming, a lot higher than forecasted. It came in at 517k. That's not good for the market. And what he's going to talk about now is that if the data is going to continue, okay, to be higher than anticipated, like the non-farm payrolls, okay, then they are most likely going to have to increase the amount that they're increasing the rates by. Okay, raise rates more. Okay, so here, we're going to be looking at what is going to be happening in the next 7 days. Okay, on Valentine's Day, February the 14th. Okay, we have core inflation rate year over year and inflation rate year over year. Main one is inflation rate year over year. If that comes in higher than expected, higher than the previous. Okay, higher than 6.5%. Oh, there is no sound. Okay. Okay, I don't know why the sound doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. Okay, but basically what he was saying is that pretty much if the data comes in higher than expected, then what they are going to do is increase the amount that they're increasing the rates by. Okay, because they had, where was it again? They had this. The non-farm payrolls came out a lot higher than expected. Okay, a lot higher than they forecasted it. And if the data continues to come out like this, as in the data continues to come out higher than expected, then they're going to have to continue to increase rates and increase by an increased amount as well. Okay, so if we do see inflation rate year over year come in higher than expected, okay, or higher than previous, sorry, okay, higher than 6.5%. This to me would really not be good for the markets, and this to me would, in fact, you know, ensure that Bitcoin is most likely going to have another leg towards the downside and is going to continue towards the downside. Okay, and to be perfectly honest with you, I do think there's a possibility. Okay, and I'm going to quote myself as well in the future when this data does come out. I will come back to this video, and please, don't forget about it yourselves either. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I do think that. That inflation rate year over year could in fact be higher than previous. Okay, and that will not be good for the markets, and that will set the Fed back as well. Okay, because they are going to have to reevaluate their strategy as well. Okay, so for me right now, where I'm leaning towards is that we could potentially see inflation rate year over year come in higher than expected. Okay, so if that is the case, then I do think that we are going to have another leg towards the downside, and Bitcoin is going to continue this pullback, this small pullback that it's having right now is going to turn into a much bigger pullback. Okay, but yeah, again, we do have the Fed interest rate decisions coming in March. Okay, still 6 weeks away, so it is a long way away. But whatever you get there, okay, if it's going to be that the Fed are still increasing rates, then we're going to continue to see the price pull back. Okay, so for me right now, markets are still looking more bearish than bullish right now. Okay, much more bearish than bullish right now. Of course, if anything changes, if anything were to change, it would have to be that the price breaks above 25,000, uses that as support. Okay, and then from there, looking on a technical basis, I would be happy to say that 30K could potentially be that next level that we go into. Okay, depending on what the market is telling us once we get up there. Okay, but showing you this as well, we're forming a hidden bearish divergence. Price is forming lower highs right here, but on the RSI, we're forming higher highs right there. Okay, textbook bearish or hidden bearish divergence on the weekly. The last time we saw this on the weekly chart was actually a bullish divergence, where we were hidden bullish divergence, forming lower lows on the price action charts, but higher highs on the RSI. Okay, and as you can see, that played out really well. Okay, that played out really well. However, okay, we're forming hidden bearish divergence now. Is that going to play out really well? Okay, so we just got to be aware of that. Okay, we do just have to be aware of that. And a main chart that I am looking at here is this Bitcoin 4-hour. If we're going to get this confirmed rejection today, then I would expect a continuation towards the downside as long as the DXY continues to push towards the upside. Okay, so yeah, we need to keep our eye on this. And of course, if anything changes, you will be the first people to know about it. And, I will come live and update you with anything that needs to be updated with. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything on the Bitcoin side of things. Taking a quick look at Ethereum. Again, Ethereum has come up and tested this horizontal level here as resistance, and we're getting a rejection today. Okay, value area high, resistance. Let's have a look. Is there a slight higher high there? Bearish divergence forming there as well. Okay, we had one right here. Okay, slight higher high, bearish divergence. Okay, lower lows on the RSI, pullback. Okay, we're now forming another one. And even if we're looking at the bigger scale of it as well, coming onto the 8-hour, forming higher highs. Okay, this high that we just made here is higher than this low here, this high here, sorry. And RSI is forming lower lows. Okay, bearish divergence there as well. So for me, it is looking prime that Ethereum is going to pull back as well. Of course, Ethereum is going to follow whatever Bitcoin does, but for me right now, I'm more bearish on Bitcoin right now. It's just screaming bearishness to me, especially with this rejection here. It's, if we're going to get this rejection today, it's just that confirmation for me that we're going to go lower. Of course, the DXY needs to continue to push towards the upside for that to happen. The DXY decides to pull back, then we could see Bitcoin push towards the upside. But right now, I'm leaning a lot more bearish than bullish right now. So that's sort of my take on the markets right now. Of course, if anything happens, I will update you with it. But that's everything I've got for you today. Please make sure you smash a like on this video. I would really appreciate it if you could just smash that like button. Really helps me out, really helps the channel out. And yeah, I will see you in the next live stream, which will be later today. If anything happens, if there's a bigger move towards the downside, I will update you with that. However, if we don't see any major moves today, then it will most likely be tomorrow. So yeah, once again, thank you very much for watching. Smash that like button, subscribe, turn that bell notification on if you are new, and yeah, see you in the next live stream, guys. Thank you very much.